Diversity CRE TV, and hi, I'm Niles Reyes, and my guest on this episode is Jimmy White IV. Jimmy serves as a Director of Engineering at the Four Seasons Hotel Philadelphia Comcast Center. Mr. White is part of the hotel leadership team and oversees a group of engineering and maintenance specialists. Jimmy is a proud South Philly native and an Operation Iraqi Freedom U.S. Navy submarine veteran. He now serves locally for the Travis Manion Foundation, the Weekly Fight, the Greater Philadelphia Veteran Network, and several veteran centers in the Greater Philadelphia region. Mr. White received educational attainment at Delaware County Community College and the Naval Nuclear Power Training Command Center. Recently, Jimmy presented an unbelievable TED Talk using the TED conference format, which can be found in the link below. I spoke with Jimmy earlier, and here's what he had to say. All right, Jimmy, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, no problem. So the way we usually start out our interviews is we start way back in the time. So if you don't mind telling me, where are you from? Where did your family originate? You can take it as far back to the motherland if you want to. You can start in Philadelphia.
I love that. Look, every time I introduce myself, the very first thing I say is that I'm a South Philadelphia native.
Okay.
Like South Philadelphia, born and raised, cheesesteaks, pretzels, tasty cakes, and Rocky.
I love it.
So it starts there. And really, my character and what I like to call my grit started there on those streets. I grew up right at 18th and Annan Street, right in the thick of it, in a really tough time in the 80s and the 90s. And the fact that I learned how to navigate the streets, learn how to talk to the people that are doing the good things and not doing the good things.
Yes, sir.
And be able to make it out of that environment, it made me the man that I am today. So it really started there. I went to Girard Academic Music Program, which is a performing arts school in South Philadelphia. So it's still that South Philadelphia roots. Yeah. And I tell people this, that school saved my life.
Okay.
Prior to that, I was in a really tough school, really tough situation, to the point that I ran away from home.
Okay.
And when I got into that school, they gave me the wraparound services that I need to support me, for me to begin to excel and to say that, yes, you can rise above the station that you're at now.
Okay.
Unfortunately, when I got out of high school, I didn't quite do that. I was kind of like that guy voted most likely to succeed.
Oh, wow.
I was MVP of the basketball team. I was part of a Grammy choir, a traveling choir. We actually went to Italy. I was a part of these amazing programs.
Okay.
But I went to Drexel for my freshman year, and I wound up dropping out.
Okay.
I didn't have the discipline, and I just wasn't prepared personally to do it. So I went on, did a couple other cool things, and then I went to Temple University. And here's a cool story.
What's that?
When I went to Temple University, I was a political science major. And my very first class is political science.
Okay.
The professor says, if you show up for this class every single day that you're supposed to be here, you're going to get an A. He said, if you miss one class or late one class, you get a B. He said, if you miss two, you get an F.
Wow.
After the second week, I had an F.
You missed two classes in
Bro,
2
I
weeks?
missed the first two classes. The first one I missed. The second one I was late for. And I called my mama up. I called Mom. I said, Mom, I'm going to have to drop out of college again. And she said, son, you got two choices. Said you can either go work at McDonald's or you join the military. Well, I said, I guess I got to join the military because I get fired from McDonald's for not showing up on time and eating all the Big Macs and the French fries and the apple pies.
Right.
So, and it was the best decision that my mother ever made for me.
Okay, but before we go to there, let's focus in on your mother.
Yeah.
Right, because obviously you look at her as probably the rock in your life at that time. So let's talk about your family dynamics. Let's reel it back a little bit. So you grew up in South Philadelphia. You went to school there, obviously, and talk about your family. Growing up in that area was rough, but what about your family dynamics?
It was tough, but I had two amazing parents.
Okay, great.
My father was a submariner on submarines.
Okay.
He was an electrical inspector for the Philadelphia School District.
Okay.
And he was just known everywhere. Every part of the city we would go to, he'd say, hey, I hung lights here. Hey, I did some work over here. And we would just walk somewhere. They were like, hey, Jim White, how you doing? So I just admired him, and he was just like the smartest person in the room. You ever watch Jeopardy with somebody and they know all the answers?
Yeah.
That's my dad.
Okay, he's one of those.
That's my dad, and he was quiet, but he spoke with his actions, and that taught me how to do that as I went older. My mother, on the other hand, my father used to like to say that my mother had street feet.
Had what?
Street feet.
Street feet?
Street feet.
Okay.
My mother was everywhere in the city of Philadelphia.
Okay.
So my mother, after my father and her separated, she wound up opening up a thrift store in South Philadelphia, right around the corner from our house, so she could be close to us and keep an eye on us and help us navigate the streets and everything we were going through. She was an entrepreneur. She was a philanthropist. She was a community leader. Yeah. She was executive director for the legendary Blue Horizon, right in North Philadelphia, the greatest boxing venue in the world.
Blue Horizon, yes.
And she was the executive director for a Pennsylvania state representative as well. And she was the epitome of hustle.
Shout out to Mama Wright.
Right, yo, she hustled. We called her Miss Barbara. Miss Barbara ran the streets, and she knew everybody. She influenced positive things going on in the community. Awesome. She helped rappers. She helped other entrepreneurs. She helped females navigate college and high school when she didn't have college herself.
Right.
She was just this amazing, phenomenal woman. And I tell everyone now that I'm her trophy. Like, for all the sacrifices and things she had to deal with, like, I wouldn't be the man I am today if it wasn't for that.
All right, pause. Let's let that settle.
Let that breathe.
Let's let that breathe. That was heavy, man. That was heavy. All right. So we went through the background, the family. We went all the way back to the root. So, now let's focus in on your military service.
Yeah, I never thought I'd be in the military, to be completely honest. My father never talked about being a veteran.
Okay.
When I went to the recruiter said, "Who in your family was in the military?" I said, "My uncle, who was in the Air Force." Like, I didn't even think about my father.
Right.
But it worked out really well because I took advanced classes in high schools, advanced physics and advanced calculus. Didn't do too well, but I was in them. So they allowed me in the Navy to take the nuclear power exam.
Okay.
Nuclear power program in the Navy is the most selective enlisted program there is. Only 2% of the Navy is nuclear qualified.
Wow.
And it's one of the toughest programs that they have. And I'm pretty sure I barely got the score to get in, or my recruiter might have like, "Hey, let's get him one extra point to get him in." And it was just this amazing program. So in the nuclear power program, you have two choices. Okay. You can either be on aircraft carriers or you can be on submarines. So I went home to my father and I told him, I said, "Hey, dropped out again. I'm joining the military. I'm joining the Navy, and I'm going to be in their nuclear power program." Okay. And I said, "I'm going to be on aircraft carriers." Okay. And he said, "Why are you going to be on aircraft carriers?" He's an old salty sailor, so that's how he talked. And he was like, I was like, "Well, because there's females on aircraft carriers. I heard there's McDonald's on aircraft carriers. Not true. And I won't have to work as hard on the aircraft carrier than on a submarine." And he was like, "No, you're going to be on submarines. Like, you're doing submarine duty. You're going to be part of the brotherhood." Because at the time, only males were allowed to be in the submarine service. Okay. Thankfully, they've opened that up, and now we have so many amazing sisters that are now part of the fraternity, and now we just branched that out and part of the family. Awesome. So he's like, "Yeah, you're going to do it." And I said, "All right, Dad, whatever you say, like, this is going to be what it is." And I'll never forget getting on my very first submarine. So I was on the submarine USS Montpelier, and we were traveling to Halifax, Nova Scotia, in Canada. And it was rough sea states. We're rocking back and forth. Working my butt off to try to, make an impression and show everybody that I'm the sailor that they want me to be. Right. Be this go-getter. And I made a major mistake. And the captain, Captain Freak, a Philadelphia native as well, he got on the intercom system and said, "Petty Officer White made a major mistake. And until that mistake is fixed, liberty is secured for everybody on a submarine when we hit Canada." So that meant nobody could leave the submarine until my mess up was fixed.
Oh my gosh.
And man, I walked around that submarine and the junior people were like bumping into me and cursing me out and all these other things. But the coolest part about that was the senior leadership. Okay. The senior enlisted, the chiefs in the first classes, they went up to those junior guys and said, "Since the second Petty Officer White stepped on the submarine, he's been busting his butt. Oh, okay. He's been working. He's trying to learn. He's trying to be part of this team." Because, look, on a submarine, that idea of really depending on that person on your left and your right for your life is true.
I can imagine.
think about this. If you're out to sea on a submarine and you get a fire, you can't call the fire department.
Right.
You got to rely to the person on your left and the right with your actual life. So I took that seriously. And when I first got on, they said, if anybody messes with Petty Officer White, they got to deal with me. And that was like one of the first times that I learned what true servant leadership was.
Okay.
When I saw my leaders rally around me in a situation where they didn't have to.
Right.
And they could have easily just thrown me to the wolves.
Right.
So it kind of really fueled me for the rest of my Navy career. 2003, we did Operation Iraqi Freedom on that submarine, and we were actually part of shock and awe.
Wow.
So we went over to the Gulf and we shot over 20 Tomahawk missiles in support of the opening salvo shock and awe. And it was one of the most amazing experiences of my life to be able to serve my country, to do something that very rarely happens, where you're shooting live Tomahawk missiles in support of those ground troops. And it taught me this idea that life is real.
Yeah.
You know, before it was kind of like, we're out to sea, we're playing war games, we're doing these type of things. But, you know, what we're doing is really important to our country and for the world. And I embraced that. So from that, I wound up winning 3 Navy Achievement Medals in 6 years in the submarine force. And I wound up being named the Junior Sailor of the Year for my submarine before I left. Cool story with that is that I won that in 2004. Me and my now amazing, beautiful, outstanding, courageous, and stupendous wife were engaged.
Right. Okay.
So she's my girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
And they come to Groton, Connecticut for that awards ceremony. And I bring my mother and my father up, who have been separated for decades at that point. And they were together, and it was the first time like I could see that smile of pride on my mother and my father's face. We were in the VFW that has a bar, and they were like running up and down the bar, and like they were like the life of the party. It was like the pinnacle of my Navy career. But I'll never forget, my mother pulled me aside and she said, "Jimmy, you got 1 year of service left. What are you going to do?" And I said, "Mom, you know, I'm looking to get married, looking to start a family. Submarine life isn't about that."
Right.
Everything you heard about sailors and ports is true. So she pulled me aside. She said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "Mom, I'm not sure, but I think I want to come home." She said, "Baby, come home and do the work." And that's the phrase that sticks with me even to this day. Come home and do the work. And unfortunately, about a month later, my mother wound up passing away. So she was 49 years old and she had a massive heart attack. But those words ring true to me to this day. And it's the reason why I try to do so much for my hometown and for my city, and to come back and be part of the community. Mom told me to come home and do work, and it took me a while to get here, but I'm here and I'm ready to do the work.
All right, let's pause. Let's let that breathe, too. Let's let that breathe. Moment of silence. Rest in peace for Barbara. Sorry to hear that, man, but I'm glad she was such an influential part in your life.
Very much so. And my brothers, you know, I have 2 amazing brothers that we embody everything that she taught us. You know, they're entrepreneurs, they're community leaders, they're amazing fathers. I can't be more proud to have her as my mother and for them to be my brothers.
All right. And before we go into the brothers, first I want to shake your hand. Thank you for your service.
I appreciate that. I had to put my Philly vet pin on.
Yeah.
You know, I represent. Interestingly enough, I didn't identify as a veteran when I got out of the military.
Man. Yeah.
I got out of the military. I was a little bit bitter because I felt like I was abandoning my sailors that are still out at war. It was 2006, so we're still fighting this war. In the same breath, I had a little bit of resentment because I was coming home, and when we came back from Iraqi Freedom, we didn't come home to fanfare. You know, we didn't come home to the parade. You know, we came home and people were just like labeling us broken. So it took me probably a decade before I even identified as a veteran and part of a veteran community. So that was really, really tough transition in there. But now, man, I fully embrace it. I embrace the veteran community, and because they've embraced me, and it still allows me to serve.
So talk about your involvement in the veteran community here in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I love it, man. I didn't know it was here. I just serious. I did not know that there was a veteran community in the greater Philadelphia area when I got out. What really sparked it was about 2017, and a very good friend of mine gave me a book. It was the book's Brother Forever, about Travis Manion and Brandon Looney's life. Travis was a local military Marine who unfortunately passed away in the line of service, and Brandon as well, his best friend, passed away in line of service. But in the book, Travis utters this line that sticks with me and called me into action, and it was almost like my life mantra being put to words.
Okay.
His brother came to him and said, "Hey, you know, if you get hurt or something, you don't have to go to Afghanistan or Iraq. I apologize, I can't remember, but go out on a deployment. You can stay home with us." His brother was playing, but Travis got real serious.
Okay.
He said, "I trained for this. I prepared for this. I know the language. The rest of my team is dependent on me. If not me, then who?" And when I read that in the book, I was like,
wow,
that's this guy right here.
What book was this again?
Brothers Forever, about the life of Travis Manion and Brandon Looney.
Okay.
And I called up the gentleman. It was actually Travis's uncle, Joe, who gave me the book. I called him up the very next day. I said, "Sign me up. I want to be part of whatever it is to honor his legacy and to be part of this community."
Awesome.
So it's the family made this amazing organization called the Travis Manion Foundation.
Okay.
And what they do is they empower veterans like me and Gold Star family members to build character and leadership in the future leaders of our nation.
Right.
I was able to bring that here in Philadelphia.
Awesome.
And what I do is I go to South Philadelphia elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, youth organizations. And I tell young people that the same character that I displayed on the submarine, the same character that Travis lived and died for, you can show right now in your community, in your school. You can step up to the bully. You can help clean up the environment. You can help clean up the neighborhood.
Right.
Like, you can put your character in action today. And it's fueled me ever since. It's been, I wear it on my wrist every single day to remind me that I need to be of service to my community. 2018 was one of the best experiences I had with the Travis Manion Foundation. I wound up meeting the son of the athletic director from Parkland High School.
Okay.
His name was Chris Hickson.
Yeah.
And Chris was a Navy veteran.
Awesome.
And Chris actually went into Parkland High School and confronted the shooter the day of the mass shooting. Unfortunately, he gave up his life, but he saved many kids' lives by barricading himself up against a door so that the shooter couldn't get to the other students. And I met his son. I introduced myself to him through LinkedIn, and I said, "Hey, I speak to kids in the greater Philadelphia area, juvenile delinquents, kids that have a bad rap." I was like, "Is there anything that you will want me, or you think your father would want me to say to these young people?" And he responded back on LinkedIn the very same day, and he said, "I got you. I'm going to write you a 2-page letter." He wrote me a 2-page letter, and I would go around the city, and I'd actually travel up and down the East Coast, explaining the character that his father presented that day. But Tom, his son, also wrote this in a letter. He said that no matter how bad your situation is, you can always be redeemed. And for him to have that grace, grieving for his father and the loss of his father, that meant the world for me. So we actually won the foundation's national award that year for the work we did honoring his father.
All right. Pause again. Let's let that breathe. Dude, you are coming with haymakers today.
No, yeah, man. I'm just honored to be a part of the solution. Really.
Yes,
that's,
definitely.
That's my number one goal.
Definitely. And just to have a moment of silence for all the people that you mentioned that lost their lives, showing heroic, and courageous endeavors for us. So, moment of silence. All right. Now, let's get into a little bit about you and your career as far as a commercial real estate professional. For starters, you're on a roll. Like, how did you get into the industry, and what are you doing now?
You know what? I started from the bottom, yo. Like I started literally from the bottom. So I went and got out in 2006, came back to the greater Philadelphia area. I did some electrical contracting around the city with my father for a while. And then I had my first son, and I was like, I need health insurance. So
Right.
I wound up getting a maintenance technician position in Malvern, Pennsylvania for
Okay.
a large Fortune 500 company. And I was their first nighttime maintenance tech. I changed light bulbs, filters, and toilet seats.
Oh
So I
man.
literally went from operating a nuclear reactor
Okay.
to changing out damaged toilet seats at a
Right.
commercial campus. But let me tell you, that was the most humbling experience that I ever had. I remember the first time they called me up to change out toilet seats. They said, Jimmy, this weekend we need you to change out 100 toilet seats. I said, 100 toilet seats? I was like, I was a E6 in the Navy
Yeah.
running all this up. I had a
I
whole
could
team underneath
imagine.
me, and now
Right.
you want me to change out toilet seats?
Okay.
I was like, all right, whatever. So I maybe got half of that done that week
Right.
because my heart wasn't in it, right?
Right.
I got a call the next day and they said, Jimmy, what did you do? I was like, what do you mean? I put in toilet seats. I didn't get done, but I did them,
Yeah.
right? They was like, Jimmy, we just got a complaint that someone fell off a toilet seat. I was like, how? Like, how is that possible? Well, you know what? I didn't own it and I had really poor craftsmanship. I didn't read the instructions. So what I didn't realize is that there was supposed to be a lock washer installed, and I didn't install it. So that meant when someone sat on the toilet seat, it would swivel and move out the way. And someone almost got hurt because of that. At that moment, I learned the value of true craftsmanship. That not just the fancy stuff that I do, not just the electrical maintenance and the mechanical maintenance, but something as simple as making sure that the lock washer is on the toilet seat is so important to your reputation and
Right.
who you are as a technician.
Right.
So I like to call myself a servant leader. You know, I started from the bottom and made my way up, and I will never tell anyone to do something that I wouldn't do myself. So I was extremely blessed. About every 2 years, I was just getting promotions. I put my head down. I worked as hard as I can. I learned my craft. I learned how to tighten the lock washer. I became a lead electrician, and then I became a maintenance supervisor. Then I had this amazing experience of building global command centers.
Okay.
So I went from a maintenance guy
Yeah.
to running call centers
Right.
and building them all over the country
Wow.
and using all the technical knowledge and that I learned from my time in the military and the organizational management skills I learned in the military to now run these remote call centers all across the U.S., which was an amazing experience.
Okay.
And then after that, came back to the greater Philadelphia area, wound up running a major campus out in Malvern again, about 4 million square feet of real estate as their operation manager. And I'll never forget, I remember about the first week I was on the job, I had a vendor come on site and I'm touring him around and setting up quotes and getting prepared to do some major maintenance. And he said, "Oh, who are you, the maintenance supervisor?" I said, "No, I'm the regional operation manager." Like, how did you get the job? Affirmative action?
Oh,
I said,
yep.
really?
Right.
I said, no, I worked hard for this
There you
and
go.
I prepared for this and I set me up for this. And every single person that's part of my shop can tell you that I work my way from the bottom.
Right.
So if you want this job, I suggest that you speak to me a little nicer.
Mm.
And wound up being able to navigate that field where a lot of people of our skin tone and our background weren't privy to be a part of it. So one of the things I try to do is open the door for as many minority women in this industry,
Yeah.
especially on the technical end.
Right.
To be able to say that you too can be part of this industry
Right.
and you deserve to be here. And that was kind of like my eye-opening moment. Like, it can't just be about me; it has to be about bringing others as well.
And so what are you doing now? What are you doing currently as?
Right now, I am actually the director of engineering for the Four Seasons Hotel
Okay.
in Philadelphia.
Awesome.
So it is the urban flagship for the United States for for Four Seasons.
Yes, sir.
Just started with them, and it's just an amazing experience, an amazing hotel, an amazing team, and even more so, an amazing culture.
Okay.
So to be part of that, I'm really excited for this new opportunity.
And for those that don't know, can you tell them a little bit about the hotel that you're working at? Because I think people may think it's just a regular Four Seasons in their own city, but this is a little different here in Philadelphia.
Very much so. With it being the flagship and with it being at the top of the largest building in the city of Philadelphia, it is really a hotel in the sky.
Yes, sir.
And it's almost like when you come through the elevator doors and you begin to ascend up the glass elevators, that you're going to like this amazing new part of the city that you just never knew was there.
Yeah.
It's a truly an amazing experience. But I'll tell you what.
What's that?
Even though it looks beautiful, the marble looks beautiful, the rooms are amazing, the spa and they have this amazing thing called carrot cake pie, which I have to hook you up with one of these days. It's the people. It's the people that really make the hotel experience what it is. Because I remember prior to me coming on board, I actually stayed here with my family.
Okay.
And they didn't know me from Adam, but they gave us the most amazing experience. I brought my infant son here, and they actually brought a crib up to the room with a bottle warmer and diapers.
Yeah.
I don't know how they knew his size, but they did. And I never get. I turned around and say, hey, I don't know if we can be doing this much more on Dad's salary. But now to be part of the team and to learn the culture and see the level of craftsmanship, ownership, professionalism, and excellence that they operate on a day-to-day basis. This is a perfect marriage with my background and my standards and who I am.
Yeah, that's great. No, that's awesome. That's great to hear. I'm glad you're really excited and comfortable being here. And I want to give you guys, or I want to say that one thing about your hotel, if I can give you a slogan, I would add in there, Four Seasons Philadelphia, the Comcast Center.
Nice.
Closest thing to heaven.
Oh, come on. I love that. I love that. I'll tell you what, if you ever get a chance to dine at the hotel, come early in the morning or come during sunrise and sunset. Yeah. It is the most amazing view that you've ever experienced, and the service matches it 100%.
Yes. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in. We have a brief announcement giving you, the viewers, an opportunity to support this program. If you've enjoyed this type of content, which highlights the achievements of a diverse set of professionals, you can support by clicking on one of the payment app links in the description below. I'm a black man with a plan who teamed up with another skilled brother and his wife, and we've decided that there's not enough stories being shared of successful and progressive diverse individuals. For instance, if you haven't caught on already, I'm from Philly, and if you're from Philly too, see if you can answer these 3 questions. Who is the most popular black actor from Philly? Okay, who is the most successful and well-known rapper to recently come out of the city of Philadelphia? Last one. Who is the most famous and highest paid comedian to come out of Philly? Now, you didn't even have to be from the city of brotherly love to know the answer to those questions, because anyone that's been paying attention to the American culture for the past decade knows who these fine gentlemen are. And it's a testament to the talent in the city I call home. Now look, I'm not trying to name drop, although I just did, but it helps provide context for the next set of questions. Check this out. Can you name one minority individual from the city of Philadelphia who has served or currently serving as a chairman or CEO of a Fortune 500 company? Who is the most successful minority banker, venture capitalist, and/or entrepreneur to come out of Philly? Currently, who is considered one of the most distinguished minority educators, lawyers, accountants, doctors, or my personal favorite, commercial real estate developer in the city of Philadelphia? Don't know? Well, I don't know either, but I'm on a mission to find these individuals, interview them, and ensure that we all know who's who going forward. Okay, now that you get my drift, here's your opportunity to support the ongoing efforts to highlight a diverse set of professionals and to inspire the next generation. Eventually, we're looking to go across the country to speak with you or someone you know at the top of their game in their respective industry and has significant community involvement. Please contact me on LinkedIn right now. Remember to like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications for the latest videos on this channel. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the video. So talk about some of your involvement. You said you were doing some stuff down in Dallas, and you're involved in some other initiatives.
I am.
Diversity.
So I like to consider myself a veteran advocate now. So I'm now, since working with the Travis Manion Foundation and being the national award winner, I really wanted to celebrate other veterans in the space, but also be advocate for them and be a
Right.
leader in the veteran
Right.
community. So one way that I've been able to do that is I was selected as a presidential scholar for the George W. Bush Center Veteran Leadership Program.
Awesome, man.
So out of a couple thousand veterans, 50 of us were selected all over the country. We have veteran mayors, we have military spouses, we have influential people in the private sector that are helping the
Okay.
military, and we all convene in Dallas every month for 3 days to work on veteran initiatives, veteran projects, and to learn from each other.
Right.
So the first trip will actually be next week, and I'm so excited to do that and to bring the resources from that program back here to the greater Philadelphia area to help regional veterans. That's just major.
That's awesome, man. Thank you. Let me shake your hand, man, dude. You do so much, man. You know, I feel like I'm doing a lot, and I feel like you're doing even more than me, which is great. That's what we need, and that's one reason why I wanted to have this platform to help, provide and share the stories of minorities in the commercial real estate industry that are from, South, Southwest,
Right.
North, Uptown, Northeast Philadelphia, because
Right.
the city of Philadelphia is a tale of two cities.
It is.
You have your hip neighborhoods, your Manayunks, your Northern Libs, your center cities, and then you have suburbs, and they're great places to be, and that's where a lot of young professionals live there. But then you have other neighborhoods, right? Your South, your North, the ones I just listed, and those are the under-resourced, underfunded areas. And similar to the military, we just pulled out of Afghanistan. They're having a lot of problems over there. And I think that, and not to get political, but the view or the game plan from what they told us on TV was that, well, we'll leave, they'll figure it out.
Right.
But I think there was a lack of understanding of the dynamics and the culture in those areas that are underrepresented, underfunded, and have these lurking boogeymen.
Agreed.
For, if I want to use a layman term, because I don't want to get political, but the boogeymen.
Right.
And it's the same thing in the neighborhoods in your inner cities where they have the gangs and you have the poor school systems, and individuals come in and they want to stay for a little bit and then pull out, and they wonder why. Well, we just did all this, spent all this money, did all these things. Look, there are variables in these areas that lead to disaster, and it's very difficult growing up in some of these areas. So the point I'm trying to make is this. I'm kind of rambling on. I don't want to take over your interview, but it's very important that people like yourself, people like myself that have these backgrounds, both in the military, I was in the Army, as well as in the commercial real estate industry, we share these powerful and passionate stories with others so that the ones that are in those neighborhoods or in these circumstances can rise above, or at least get some type of influence, exposure, connect with us to help get access to us, right? And then hopefully that leads to some type of opportunities.
I so agree. And it's interesting because with the movement that we have right now with diversity, with inclusion, and with equity, you will see that many people have the lip service, but it really takes the culture within these communities and with companies to be the change that we need in our community. That's one of the reasons why I love reaching out to diverse vendors and seeing if they have opportunities to work in these type of spaces, to be able to help and train them to be able to do that. One of the partnerships I have is with Temple University Small Business Development Center. And what I do is I'm a presenter for them, and I speak to them about leadership in a virtual environment, in a workforce environment. I explain to them what their internal team looks like and what their external team looks like so they can be successful. I did one presentation with them. I said, hey, does any of the entrepreneurs on this call know what an org chart is? And he's like, org chart? What is that organization? I said, they're like, I'm a one-person show, like, what are you talking about? I do all this by myself. I said, are you sure about that? Because last time I checked, you have a lawyer, you have an accountant, you have a vendor that's your number one vendor, that's your supplier, that's an external member that you need to go ahead and for you to be successful.
Okay.
Are you tracking that relationship? Are you building that relationship? Are you building your team for you to be successful? So I partner with them and do presentations, and then I will also do some mentorship with some of their students as well. I have an amazing, I have 5 mentees right now.
Awesome, man.
And I truly believe mentorship is extremely important. If it wasn't for the mentors in my life, I wouldn't be where I am at today. I like to say that no man is an island. Be a peninsula, be Florida, or be Italy. Be Italy. And,
no disrespect to Florida. We love Florida. We love Florida.
Be like Italy, and have those resources. So to be able to give back to those, I just had one of my mentees, a Temple student and an Army officer, who just competed in the Miss New Jersey USA pageant and got 19th place.
Awesome.
To be able to support her. I have another Temple student that just changed his major and going into his senior year. And I have 2 that are in the tech field right now that are doing amazing things. So, and I say that because not to brag for myself, but to brag on them.
Awesome.
Because they are just doing amazing things, and all I can be is a resource to support them. So,
outstanding.
Yeah, it's important that we are in the community, supporting them, showing them representation. But this is what I love too. I said, look, the same way that I'm giving back, I need you to do the same thing. The same way I'm presenting at your high school, your middle school, whatever, when you accomplish everything that you're looking to accomplish and you've reached that status, come back and tell another kid that looks just like you that they can do it too, but even more so, they can do it better.
Right. Awesome. Well, look, Jimmy, it was amazing having you here today.
I
can go
appreciate
on
it.
and on and on. When I interview you, I feel like I'm interviewing myself.
I love that.
I
love
love the fact that I got a chance to pair up with somebody just as passionate, not only for inclusion initiatives, but also military vets. Because I don't think, and you already know, preacher to the choir when I talk to you, not enough is done for the vets, especially the ones that served in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I made a comparison between the two.
Right.
And the point of the comparison is that it's a lifelong commitment.
Yes.
You just can't come in, do a couple things, and pull out. And I think the same, again, making that comparison, I think the same mindset is applied to D&I initiatives.
Yes.
Where it's, okay, we're gonna go into these, schools, recruit a couple kids, and then we're done. No, it's a lifelong commitment. But at the same time, I'm not pointing any fingers at anybody.
Right.
I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not playing victim. This platform is to show that there's individuals like you and I who need to lead that charge, and everybody else needs to follow. So, Jimmy, thank you so much for joining me, man. I'm gonna shake your hand one more time, brother. I appreciate it.
I love your platform,
Yes.
and I love what you're doing. So please keep doing it, and be encouraged, man. This is amazing.
Thank you so much.